There we go. Spooked him. He's really spooky today. He knows something's up. He really does. Got very fucking needy. Very fucking needy. But, like I do, I was thinking, I hope it's not. It's basically because, like, my. Uh, like, what's the word? Security instinct, basically. It's like that unknown thing, but, like, yeah, there's loads and loads of options. I'm not in any sort of real trouble or whatever, but I'm a fucking liability. Let's just have it right. But it's that very real truth I've got to keep facing that I really did fuck everything up really quite badly. A hell of a lot of decisions that were in mind for a few years, and if I'd have done things differently, I really could have been in. I could be and have been for a couple of years in an extremely comfortable position. Put it that way. Before my plans had come to pass, and if I'd have done things differently, I got to take responsibility for what I did. But the thing is, it's always sounded like a good idea on paper, like it does right now. There's still an opportunity there. It's a fraction of what it was, but that just is what it is. I'm very homesick. I've been spending a lot of time in Boscombe, and there's a lot of me has been going, why did I fucking do it? Why did I fucking do it? It's the place. It's not the flat. It's the place. But that's, well, it was the first place I sort of really chose to live. Everywhere else I'd lived, I'd moved around a lot, but it was because, of the family moving. And then I just lived where they ended up, and then they fucked off. And I just bought a place near where I worked. Literally, it was, to do with the cheapest place I could find, and they were quite cheap in Eastleigh, and I worked there. So that's where I bought my first flat. And then this was an opportunity that came up to come to Bournemouth, and that's when I took that. But it was the first place I sort of said, right, where do I want to live in the country? Because for a while I wasn't going to live here. A friend of mine was persuading me, and it was just to do with the commuting and all that to work. But then I looked at the hours I was doing, and I looked at the amount of time in rush hour that it had taken me to get from Eastleigh. My job moved. That was it. My job moved to Southampton. They bought a company in Southampton and moved. So it was like it was a journey to work anyway. Um, so that was leaving what was my home. But I was glad to get away from there. I don't want to go back. I really don't want to live in Hampshire again. I want to stay in Dorset. Um, because it's just, yeah, it's there's quite a few parts of Boscombe where I've sat over the years and years and years, many different people that I've been, actually. Yeah. When I got there, I was a fucking liar. I was a fucking liar to myself. Total fucking liar about so much. And I went through all my chaos there. I went through all my psychosis there. I went through my recovery there. And then my fucking subsequent fucking this. And then that was the end. I was just so glad to get out of that place, that how everything that place stood for, everything that it was connected to just felt utterly toxic to me. I stopped sleeping in the fucking building when I got my camper. I slept outside. I think I slept one night, but it was one of those where I'd sort of actually got in about 8:30, 9, and fallen asleep and just sort of laid on the bed with this thing and fallen asleep and then woken up at like 4. So it wasn't really actually going to bed. I was showering in there and eating in there, but I lived in my camper, and I was trying to persuade these. There was 2 at the time to come and live with me, and we got him in there in the end, didn't we? But 4 nights before we moved, he was regular. He was coming in and getting on the bed in the back of my camper with me, weren't you? You know I'm talking about you because you got one eye open, didn't you? Um. So yeah, it's like I was just having a thinkoid about it, and I thought, mate, it's life. It's like just because you've got to leave Boscombe. It's like, I don't want it to end up one of those places where I can get really attached to a lot of things. And anyone would be attached. Lots of very significant people that have helped shape my life were in that flat with me, and you know what I mean. Lots of different experiences. But by and large, when I look at it, it was like it wasn't me. and I never got visitors there. No one ever came. No one ever. That back room I used as a study. Well, the whole time I was at uni, it had a sofa. I'd put a futon in there, and that I don't think that only got slept on about 3 or 4 times. It was, yeah. I remember feeling lonely as fuck for about 90% of the time I lived there as well. Um, Literally, you know. It's like I often say when people see me out, it's like, yeah, you might see me 3 or 4 times in a year, mate. You know what I mean? That's the thing. That's the thing. Or even when I'm raving on the beach, you don't see what's fucking going over and over and over in my head when I'm trying to, you know what I mean? And all that time, the amount of time that I've got to spend doing that shit. Like I was saying with my favourite human, it's the amount of time I've got to spend managing all of those things just becomes fruitless time. You know, like people say, oh, well, worrying doesn't help you. Please don't ever say that to anyone. And don't say anger doesn't help you. They know. That's what's frustrating about it. They wish they could control it. What they're talking about is the fact that they can't control it. And how frustrating that is. Not just the fact that they can't control it. But what you do is say what you need to do is control it. It's really infuriating. It's really infuriating. They know. They do know. I spoke to the lad down the shop. He's a really nice guy, actually. He's really sound. He always comments on my clothes in a very positive way. And he's like, he's very quiet and calm, but he chats a lot, asks a lot of questions. He's really intent on listening. And I chatted to him about this sort of stuff and talked about, it was what he fed back to me. I can't quite remember, but you could see that he'd analysed it in his head. He was looking at it, and then he fed it back and he said, so it's kind of, you know, but I just talked about it's that access to it. No, there was two of them. That was it. It was the access to it that really got him. It was when I said nothing's actually wrong with it. It's just I can't switch it on at the moment. It's working just fine, but I can't access it. And but the bit that he fed back was when I talked about that frustration of it actually happening so often becomes the frustrating thing, not just the thing that, you know, gets you frustrated. Getting frustrated gets frustrating. I really can't remember, but you know when someone just feeds something back to you. So you're saying that, and I was like, wow, that guy knows what he's on about. Do you know what I mean? He really fucking grasped it. He grasped it in a very, very compassionate and understanding way. And normally when you use those words, you think someone who's like, hi, I'm very gentle, and all that. No, it was just he's a blokey bloke. He talks like a bloke, looks like a bloke, just blokey. But he's got one of those voices that's really quiet. And you think, how the fuck can I hear you? Yeah, but what I said was, I said, you know what, it is changing. I said, because there's people like you. I said, there's a couple of things I've said to you, and I can tell that you're just like getting it. And he was oh, thank you. I said, but it's, you know, it's like, I think with you realise there's a point where you think, actually, I don't need to actually get it to know that it's happening. Challenging it is just, you know, it's like someone going, I can't find my keys. Oh, have you looked for them? What would you say to them? What would you end up saying if they kept saying, have you looked for your keys? It's that level of response, but it's everywhere. It's automatic. It's automatic. And that's where you end up with that kind of that typical schizoid. What's the point? I don't even care. You're so not like me. If I could find someone like me, then I'd hang around with people. But you're all weird. Do you know, for the life of me, I can't think what it was, but there was something to do with interpretations of and like also I have trouble. I'm going to get back to you though, because I think it will come back to me over the next couple of days. But it's an example of that one where people basically say, oh, you know what I mean. And I go, no, I don't. And that's the fundamental part of it. Because if I knew what you meant, I'd be okay. But I don't know what you mean. And what you're expecting is that I need to make those words mean something else. It's a subtext. It's an implied thing that everyone says. I don't get any of those. There's a load of them that I was never taught. I really don't know what they are, because I know that they're the things that make people go, huh? And that happens a lot. That happens a lot. So I do need to study them. but then I need to be around people to be able to do that. And I need for the things to go wrong in the way that they go wrong, and in order for me to like learn what's going on. But the problem is when the shit happens that happens, I then freak out and go and lose my shit and think, why is this so fucking hard? Why is it so particularly hard? Why is it this hard? I know it's hard for everyone, but why is it this hard? Why is it so particularly hard? So especially hard. Rock hard. Because it really fucking is, mate. It really fucking is. Like when I was at the shop just now, it took a while because it was quite a queue, so I had time, and you know. And I just had a fag outside the shop, and I was just looking up the road. And it was like I'd almost started to connect with people around here. You know, I know like the barber and stuff, and all the people in the shop. They're all really not, you know, because I'm a character to them. I'm like a couple of minutes of their day, and I've always got a different outfit on, pretty much. And I'm always very colourful, and you know, they still haven't seen half my wardrobe in a year, probably. So, you know, it can be quite a sort of pleasant experience going to the shop. I get it in a lot of shops. I commented with my favourite human. She was like a bit witness to it. And I said, I do like that happens when I'm in shops. You know, but don't you dare say you're different, Mikey. You're not different, you're just like all the rest of us. Yeah, because I can see it happening to all of you in the same shop that I'm in. Every fucking time it happens to me, it's also happening to all the other 10 people in the fucking shop. But yeah, so there's some sort of happy little moments, you know, I can just feel like I'm home in my zone, where I see faces that I know that smile as they walk by and say hi. That's not meant to be a poem, it was just coming out that way. And so then there's that moving on element to it. I haven't taken my tapestries down. I will get on. I've packed loads, like, in my head. No, you know, when you think, well, actually, I can do that, and that can go there, that can go, because I do have stuff all over the place. But it's made it a little bit more simple, because the whole time I've been here, it's been, oh fuck, that's at the lockup, that's there. Is that in the back of the truck? The roof box came off my truck. It's currently propped up at 45 fucking degrees on the window and strapped down. So to get into the fucking thing, I have to flatten it. But then to drag it back up, I can't then close the gate. So I need someone else to close the fucking gate at the back. And it's, you know, just to get some clothes, some shit that's also a fucking charger cable that's in a bag that I think I chucked up in there. That sort of shit. It's been a lot of that. So all I need to do is minimise my more sort of day-to-day stuff, and like my computer and all that. There's stuff I can pack up and think that's just boom, one hit. And the rest of it can just be all, I think I'm going to use bags this time. I've got a lot of bags. And you can put your ornaments in amongst your clothes in the bag and use all the pockets and stuff like that. And they don't need to be stacked so much, so I can throw them in my lockup in a heap, which is a lot more Mikey friendly. So that'll be, you know, I think hopefully things should start getting busy. My key worker, she didn't get back to me, but she did. I was hoping, she texted and said, can I ring tomorrow? It's right at the end of the day. But I think she didn't get back to me because I'm hoping she then went, my client, Mikey, he needs upgrading to such and such. That's what I'm hoping. You know, we need to work with him a little bit differently. Hopefully it accesses the kind of help that they normally give. Because it's like, right, I need to find somewhere to live, somewhere with a fucking cat. And I've got mental health issues. That's what I've been referred to them. So it could be a very, 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 very good thing. That's what I'm attracting and thanking the universe for. And this is my time to fly. And I shall now say goodbye.